Hello and welcome back to another video on Serious About Salvage. So first of all, just a quick apology for the lack of content at the minute. Because of obviously the week and a half, 2 weeks that I weren't recording, I got a lot of work done on a lot of cars, but didn't have the content for the channel. So I really need some stock to come in before I can start making much videos again. We have got the Jeep Renegade, I haven't started on yet, and a few bits and pieces, and the Mini has come back, albeit with more damage on the front than it went with, but hey, that's no surprise whatsoever. But it's I'm going to be taking it further anyway. I'll talk about that in a mini video. Today's video is on the Mokka again. Now the Mokka was done as far as I was concerned, but after doing that video I checked the MOT and I didn't realise it ran out in like 13 days, so I've had to put it through an MOT. And it did fail. It did fail. Nothing major. I'll just reiterate quickly. Pair wipers for the front side light, and the only thing really was the handbrake efficiency wasn't quite up to par. So we're putting discs and pads on the back. Now advisory as well brought up pitted, scored discs all round, so we might as well just do them all. So I'm going to put discs and pads all round on this car. And also another job we're going to be doing in this video, which is probably going to be quite intensive, is this 1.6 CDTI in Vauxhalls in general has a very common issue where on startup they from culture, on startup they have a rattle, a chain rattle for about a second, which is because the tensioners drain out of oil and lose tension on the chain. So until the oil pressure gets up to the tensioner, they have a 1 second rattle. Nothing to be concerned about. It won't cause any issues unless it gets worse, and the only time when you've got to be concerned about the chain is if it's rattling all the time. That 1 second oil pressure wise isn't a problem. Now, like I said, it is common on these cars. And as far as I'm aware, they were doing a recall on them, but only if the customer complained, and it ended December last year. So we're doing it ourselves. So the fix is basically you've got to remove the chain tensioner, install a little gasket on the back of it, which creates a reservoir within the tensioner chamber, so that there's always oil pressure at the tensioner. So I've ordered the necessary parts this morning at Vauxhall. They're coming tomorrow, so this video will be recorded over 2 days. We'll do the brakes now, today, and then tomorrow we'll do the chain tensioner, gasket, and we're done. This car is sold. It's going this weekend, you see, so that's why I'm on it. So I need to do a bit of shuffling around. I'll get the Vectra off the ramp. Not Vectra, Insignia. Insignia off the ramp. We'll get the Mokka in, and I'll get the wheels off and we'll have a look at these brakes, just see how bad they were. Alright, so we're up in the air. Got all the wheels off, so we can have a look at these brakes. And yeah, the front discs I wouldn't say were too bad. They do clean when you're using them. There's a bit of a lip, very, very corroded on the edges, but all discs go like that. The pads look pretty much brand new. Now on last year's MOT they advised these discs, so, and they said actually advised the pads being low, so they've obviously changed the pads but not wanted to do the discs last year. So fronts, nah, okay. The rears, yeah, they're not the ghost, aren't they? They got a good lip again, and loads of ridges in it. Loads of ridges. Pads maybe 50%, but yeah, I can see why the handbrake's not doing much. They're not the best. So the driver's front I've actually got stripped down already. So here we are. Again, it's not any hard job to do. First of all, you're going to remove your caliper, which is fixed through them holes into your carrier, and they're secured with 10mm heads. You then remove your carrier, which is this piece, That's where the 10mm goes for the caliper to fix to the carrier, by the way. They're the holes for the carrier to hub. They are 18mm. That's these ones, 2 of them. And then all you've got is just a retaining screw that holds the disc in place. And that's T35. T30 Torx. And that's it. It's as simple as that. You're going to need a decent sized pair of grips to push the piston back in. I just have a big pair of grips like them, and I just grip on there and just push the piston in, and just make sure you take cap off your reservoir so that the oil can raise. And then we're just going to reverse it really. New disc on, retaining screw in, carrier on, pads into the carrier, caliper onto the carrier, and that's it. But yeah, like I said, them front pads are pretty much new. But if you look at that one there, what happens is they cut themselves into the shape of the disc. So if I went with these on the new discs for a couple of 100 miles, the brakes won't be great because it's only contacting on the ridges, on the high points, until it gets flat to the new shape disc. So you shouldn't ever really use old pads on new discs. At the end of the day, the majority of the cost is the disc. The pads are generally not that expensive, so there's not much point in skimping on them. So what I'll do, I'll get this one built up, I'll get the other front done, and then perhaps I'll do same, strip one side and the back, and we'll just have a look at how it's all held together for you. And then it'll be a quick, easy job. That's probably took about, what, no more than 5 minutes to strip. So I'll come back to you shortly. Okay, so all done on the fronts, both fronts done, and passenger rear is done. I've got the driver's rear stripped. Like I said, I'd just show you quickly. The only difference was you had 10 bolts for the caliper, whereas these are 18s. On the back they're 15mm, and the caliper itself, the piston, is the winding type. So if you haven't got a wind back caliper kit, you get a small pair of grips just on the edge of the piston. Don't nip the whatever that is called, the rubber that stops the oil coming out. Don't nip that, be very careful. You can wind them back with some pliers, pump pliers. It's a bit tricky, but it's doable. So I think I've wound that back enough, but I won't find out until I try and fit it with the new pads. So that's what I'm going to do now. So yeah, I'll get this one done, and then we'll have the brakes done all around then, and then it's going to be, like I said, a case of waiting until tomorrow for the gasket, which is for the tensioner, sorry, for the chain tensioner, the gasket for the chain tensioner, and then I think it's quoted as a 4.7 hour job at Vauxhall to get to it, change it, and put it back together. So that's going to be tomorrow's mission. Yeah, I'll get this tied up. I'll see you shortly. I do just have one other point to make as well, just briefly. When changing pads and discs, it's best to just give these little clips a good clean, because your pads slide in there. Because the old one, especially on this, the old ones were seized solid in there. So give it a good clean, and a bit of copper grease in there isn't going to do any harm. And also your sliders on your carrier, if they're not free like that, pull them out. They just pull straight out with the rubber sleeve, copper grease inside, put them back in and make sure they're nice and free like that. Because again, if they're seized up, only one side will work, only the inside will work. The outside pad won't do anything. So just watch out for that when you're doing brakes. I've done all the rest. Like I said, just to make sure they're not seized up and they're going to work properly when you build them up. Right, so I'm back because the gasket has arrived. And there it is. That's the little jobber that we're going to put in behind the tensioner. And these were the other recommended pieces to do, because you've got to take out the injectors, so should always put on new copper washers, and where the EGR slots into the head, that little sleeve has a rubber seal inside it, so I was recommended to change them. So the job, now on this engine, the chain is on the gearbox side, so if you have to do a chain on these, it's engine out. Now luckily the tension is towards the top, above the gearbox, so it is accessible. We're going to pull that off for a start. I'll try. Come on. Right, get rid of that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the cam cover off, which means, like I said, we've got to pull the injectors, pull the feeds obviously to the injectors, and then I was told to loosen off the lifting eyes just enough to get them hooks to pull away, and this lid will wiggle out after you've unclipped all the hook pipes and stuff. And then we're going to be going down this side, because like I said, the chain is down here. The ECU will just slide up and go out the way. So I think what I'll do, like I said, I'll get the rocker cover off. We'll have a little nosy then, and then look at how we're going to get all this gubbins out. I have got a load of instructions with all like torque settings and stuff for when I'm refitting it all. And I think Vauxhall quoted 4.7 hours to do this job, so I do have to take that off. I remember being told about that. So yeah, all there is really to do is to dive in and crack on. So yeah, I'll do the first stage, cam cover off, injectors out, feeds off, and we'll have another look at it. Right, we seem to be getting somewhere. I've got a few bits off. This is the EGR, cam cover, throttle body, header tank, and the EGR pipe. And yeah, this is where we're up to in the engine bay. So you can see all your cams there now. And there's your timing chain. And what we're looking to do is, we want to, torch on there, remove this upper cover. It goes down to there, and it's the full depth of the engine. So there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 bolts, I think. 6 bolts, so they look like 13s. Maybe 3, 6. Maybe 7. Maybe 7 bolts. And I think they look like the 13s. Yeah. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll pull them out, and then yeah, we'll pull the case off and have a little look. Right, you ready for this? I've got it unbonded as well, and we want this to come out. Get that out of the way. And now we should be able to see tensioner, which is there. You see it pushing, that's your tensioner, pushing out against the guide to put tension on the chain. And that's basically it. So we've done all this basically just to remove the tensioner, put this gasket behind it, and then put it all back together, just to do that. So yeah, not great. So yeah, all this does is push on this guide to put tension on it, and obviously when you see it moving there, when there's no oil pressure, the tensioner just slackens off a little bit and creates a little bit of a chain slap, chain rattle. And then once the pressure is back up to the top, oil pressure, the tension is tight, and there's no chain rattle. Simple as that. Be a lot of work in it just to do that. But it needed it. It needed it. It needs to be done. So, yeah, I'll get it off. We'll have a little bit look at the tensioner, and then before I put it back together, and then yeah, reverse everything I've just done. Okay, so here's the tensioner, and that's obviously the void in the back, and that little hole at the bottom is where the oil goes in to create pressure. And the modification is simply this gasket on there. So when the oil goes in, it can't drain back out the bottom. And it's always got a bit in there. And you can see down, have I left, I believe? Oh, I left my torch on, that is flat. I hope you can see, but that's where it goes, and the oil way behind it. So yeah, like I said, all I need to do now is, well, I say all I need to do, I need to build it back up, refit the tensioner, build up all the engine, and hopefully I don't end up with any missing bolts, and got to instant gasket this cover back on, this, I need to clean up all the old silicone off it, and make sure that seals well. So we don't want any problems there, that's for sure. Right, so yeah, I'm going to get on with this now, get it built back up, and fingers crossed we're not going to have any cold start rattles anymore. Right, there we go, all back together. The only thing left to do is put some coolant back in it, and unfortunately I broke the little 90-degree bit that connects the bleed off to the top of the injector. Now I've managed to get one, I'm getting it off a friend tonight. But it means we can't run it, which is unfortunate. But everything's back together. I cleaned quite a lot of the carbon buildup as well out of the EGR. See if that makes any difference. But yeah, it's a tricky job. It's a tricky job, but went together a lot easier than it came apart. So yeah, I'll come back to you when I've got the part, and we'll finish it off. Okay. So there we go. I put the leak off fitting on, and yeah, she runs great, no issues. So this is officially the end for this car on the channel. Complete number 2, this, isn't it? It's already been finished once, so hey. But yeah, like I said, I'll just start it up, and sounds great. And most importantly, no more startup rattle. That is gone completely. So yeah, thrilled to bits. The fix has worked, albeit, you know, a pain to do. Doesn't cost anything much. I think it was 60 quid. But you know, at the end of the day, all that matters is that it's fixed the rattle, and now it's beautifully quiet and ready to go. So yeah, I'm gonna get it cleaned up. Like I said, and that is the end of this video. So as always, thank you very much for watching, massively appreciated, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.